Spencer is a very special engine from the mainland. He belongs to the Duke and Duchess of Boxford. He's very fast, very shiny, and very strong. He also likes to show off. The other engines didn't like that. One day, Thomas was shunting trucks at Knapford Yards. The Fat Controller arrived. He boomed. Later, Spencer arrived. Thomas was still working. Spencer huffed grandly. Tooted Thomas. But Spencer didn't like waiting. This made Thomas cross. But he remembered that the Fat Controller had told him to help. So, Thomas shunted Spencer's carriages safely into the sheds. When Thomas arrived back at Tidmouth's sheds, he was very tired. Spencer was already there. "We Spencer?" This made Thomas very cross. Thomas puffed to Percy. The next morning, Thomas had to collect trucks from the smelter's yards. When Thomas reached the main line, he decided he would go faster than Spencer. Thomas puffed faster and faster. He puffed faster than he had ever puffed before. Thomas steamed past Emily. She whistled. Thomas slammed on his brakes. Tooted Thomas, terrified. Luckily, he stopped just in time. He chuffed. Later, Thomas was at the washdown. He tooted. Thomas was rubbed and scrubbed until he sparkled and shone. It took a very long time. Toby pulled up next to Thomas. Whooshed Thomas proudly. Toby had an urgent message for Thomas. He steamed. So Thomas puffed quickly away. Thomas arrived at the quarry. Said Mavis. Thomas was pleased. He puffed off proudly. Thomas's trucks were filled with stone. All his sparkle and shine had gone. Thomas was very unhappy. He steamed off with his trucks. Thomas came to Gordon's Hill. He had never puffed up it with such a heavy load. Tooted Thomas. The hill got steeper and steeper, and the stone felt heavier and heavier. Thomas's wheels started to spin. Cried Thomas. Stones tipped out of the trucks. He slid all the way to the bottom. Thomas wasn't strong enough after all. Thomas felt very, very silly. He wheezed. Thomas felt terrible. Next morning, Thomas knew what he was going to do. He chuffed. Then the Fat Controller arrived. He boomed. Puffed Thomas. Said the Fat Controller. When Thomas arrived at the sheds, Spencer's boiler was still cold. Thomas tooted cheekily. Now it was Spencer's turn to feel very silly. Then the Duke arrived. He said sternly. Tooted Thomas. The Duke's special crest was placed on Thomas's boiler, and Thomas steamed grandly away. Thomas felt very proud as he raced to the airport. Thomas arrived just in time. Jeremy was waiting for them. The Duke was very pleased. He said. Thomas watched the Duke's plane fly away. Thomas knew he wasn't faster, shinier, or stronger than Spencer, but he was certainly reliable. And that was a very useful thing to be.